channel. So for today's video, I am going to be reading another book to you guys. So if I said this in the previous video, if you watched it, I have a ton of my children's books, like my childhood books, and so I had a few of them that I found in my room, and I thought I would read them to you guys. And so the first one that we did was 100 Hungry Ants. If you guys haven't seen that, please make sure to go watch it. But yeah, we are going to be reading this one now. This one, and there's like a couple other ones that I have that are from my elementary school, and I remember they were getting rid of really old books. They had, you know, boxes and boxes of books, and so as kids we could go up and, you know, grab a couple books for free to take home because, you know, they were getting in new books, and, you know, they just didn't want them to go to waste. Now this is one of those books. This is probably, God, I don't even know how old this is, but this is ancient. Like, this is old. I know there's another book I had, and somebody had looked it up on my live stream, and it was from like the 60s, like the 50s and the 60s. So if you want to do your research, you can. But this one is In Persia. This one is by K. Boyle. And illustrated by Lillian. Okay, so let's get started. I love that this has like one of those covers on it, and it does have like a hardcover so you can see. So it has that little crinkly plastic paper, you know? Alright, so you can tell it's old. Look at little like spots on it. We have Pinky in Persia, and I love this because it has a little frog on it. I didn't even know that. Okay. Alright, Pinky in Persia. There's also pictures that I'll be showing you guys as well. Pinky was a silver gray cat. He belonged to a family who went to live for a year in a beautiful country that was once called Persia. The father found a house with a big garden where Pinky could sleep in the sun. There was a high wall around the garden. In the garden were palm trees with dates hanging under long, papery leaves. The palm leaves rustled like paper when the wind blew. There were also olive trees in the garden, with little green olives growing on them. Peach and cherry and plum and fig trees grew close to the windows of the house. When you were hungry, you could reach out the window and pick peaches or cherries, or plums or figs. Also, I'm live over there, so they're watching me do this. Perhaps you will find a catnip tree for Pinky, said the little girl. The little boy and little girl walked all along the garden with their mother. They found watermelons and honeydew melons and Persian melons growing on vines, but they did not find a catnip tree. Perhaps catnip doesn't grow in Persia, the little boy said. Once upon a time, said the mother, as if she were beginning a story, this country was called Persia, but now it's called Iran. I like Persia better, said the little girl. It sounds exactly like a peacock's tail. I like Iran better, said the little boy. It sounds exactly like a race across the sand. Ooh, this one's really pretty. The mother had brought 2 parcels when she came to Persia. One was a large blue parcel with yellow and pink flowers painted on it. The other was a smaller parcel. It was striped red and white like a candy cane. The smaller parcel belonged to the little girl. Pinky liked to lie under the little girl's parcel when she opened it out on the grass. He reached the butterflies passing by, and he listened to the birds talking. The butterflies were as big as kites flying on strings. The birds were almost as big as ostriches. Everything that flew or hopped in the family's garden in Persia was much bigger than anything that flew or hopped in the family's garden at home. I love the butterfly. Butterfly is so cute. There's Pinky. You had better stay away from those big birds, the father said to Pinky. Pinky looked at the father and purred. He closed his green eyes halfway. He could speak the language of parakeets and robins and pigeons and sparrows and blue jays and hop toads. He was sure he would be able to speak to these birds that were almost as big as ostriches. One day, Pinky went to sleep under the girl's red and white striped parcel. Two big birds were pulling worms out of the ground in the garden. The worms were almost as big as snakes. Perhaps the birds thought Pinky would be even a better meal to take home to their babies who were waiting for their supper. Pinky was still asleep when one big bird picked him up by the back of his neck. He was still asleep when the other bird picked him up by his tail. He woke up just as they carried him over the high wall of the family's garden. The birds carried him over another garden with a high wall, and then another garden, and another garden. All the walls of the gardens looked exactly alike, but Pinky kept count of how many gardens they flew over. The birds were almost as big as ostriches, carried him to their nest at the top of the palm tree. The palm tree was in the middle of the fourth garden. In the great big nest were three very big birds. They were almost as big as turkeys. Their yellow beaks were wide open. They were waiting to be fed. Here's something very good for you to eat, the father bird said to the three baby birds. The three big babies. It is something new. It is a cat. Well, this is taking an interesting turn. The baby birds closed their yellow beaks and looked at Pinky. He sat very quietly in their nest. He was not afraid. He did not stomp like a wild horse. He did not roar like a lion. He did not claw like a tiger. He tastes much better than a rabbit, said the mother bird. But still, the great big baby birds did not try to eat Pinky. He tastes much better than a turtle or a hop toad, the father bird said. Just try. Then the mother bird and father bird flew away to find something more for the baby birds to eat. The baby bird sat listening to Pinky purring. His purr was like a lullaby rocking them to sleep. And then Pinky opened his mouth and began to sing. He sang, "Now close your eyes and dream. The earth gives worms, cows give cream. Birds sleep with eggs against their hearts. Cats always play unusual parts. Purr, purr, dream while you sleep. Palm trees are shepherds, white clouds are sheep." The big baby birds liked Pinky's song so much that they put their heads under their wings and went fast asleep. when Pinky climbed quickly down the tall palm tree and looked all around the garden for the gate. The garden wall was very high. Pinky wanted to go back to his own garden, but he could not jump to the top of the wall. He walked very slowly over the moss and grass. He looked very carefully behind every flower, but he could not find a gate or a door in the garden wall. When Pinky came to a pool of water in the garden, a big green creature as big as a dragon was lying at the edge of the pool. "Mr. Gator," Pinky began. "I'm not a gator, I'm a lizard," the big lizard said. "You are very big and very handsome for a lizard," Pinky said. "Everything in Persia is bigger and more handsome than anywhere else in the world," said the lizard. "That is because everything in Persia is more than 3,000 years old." "You don't look that old," Pinky said. The lizard smiled like an alligator and he showed his green teeth. "If you don't believe me, I will eat you," the lizard said. But Pinky was not afraid. He did not stamp like a wild horse. He did not roar like a lion. He did not claw like a tiger. He just sat down beside the lizard and purred. His purr was so much like a song that in a minute he found that he was singing again, and then the lizard began to sing with him. "Purr, purr," they sang together. "Flies are the very best kind of meat. Cats are delicious, but not to eat. Persian lizards have the most beautiful feet. Purr, purr." The lizard's feet were not beautiful at all. But now that Pinky had said this about his feet, the lizard sat up and looked at his long green toes and his sharp curved claws. He was very pleased. He was so busy admiring his own feet that he did not see Pinky moving carefully off the moss towards the garden wall. It was almost nighttime now. Pinky tried and tried to jump the garden wall. He jumped and jumped, but the wall was too high, and he always fell back into the garden. When it was quite dark, Pinky saw a strange creature in the black cape flying back and forth across the top of the wall. It was twice as big as a black umbrella. "Bird, bird, what is your name?" Pinky called. The creature stopped flying. He hung himself upside down by one toe from a vine that grew on the wall. Then he drew his cape around him with his thin black hands. "I'm not a bird," he said. "I'm a bat. I'm the biggest bat in the world, but I am blind as a bat, and so I cannot see you." Pinky looked at the bat hanging upside down above him. It had a nose that seemed to be made of black leather, and it had ears that stood up like a dog's. "I am a cat," Pinky said. "You can see better at night than in the daytime. I want to go back to the house where the little girl and little boy live, but I cannot jump over the wall. What color are your eyes so that I can see so well? That you can see so well?" the bat asked Pinky. "Green," Pinky said. Pinky could see that the bat had begun to smile. "Well, dear cat," said the bat, still hanging upside down, "I will be gladly to take you back to your home, but as long as I cannot see, you will have to tell me how to go." The bat lowered himself very quickly down the vine to where Pinky sat. "I will carry you with the two hooked thumbs on my feet, the bat said. He was still smiling as he hooked the 2 thumbs of his hind feet into the back of Pinky's neck. Then he opened his black cape very wide and flew across the garden wall. Where I come from, bats are very small, or much smaller than cats, Pinky said as the bat carried him through the air. Impossible, the bat said. Pinky could hear him laughing inside his black cape as he flew. The family's house is still 3 gardens away, Pinky said, but even if he was on his way home, he did not feel like purring. Of course, said the bat, and now he was almost screeching with laughter. There are only 2 more gardens to go, Pinky said. Just keep flying straight ahead. Oh, cat, the bat said as he flew over the 3rd garden. I'm not taking you back to your house. I'm going to carry you to my secret place in the church tower. The bat was laughing so hard that he could hardly fly. And there, dear cat, I'm going to take your green eyes away from you so that I can see as well as you. But I'll be very generous. I'll give you my eyes in place of yours. Now they were flying over the 4th garden, and the bat's shrieking laughter seemed to fill the entire room. Pinky could see the family's house below them. He could see the lights in the windows. He could see the red and white parcel still lying open on the grass. He began to stomp like a wild horse, roar like a lion, and claw like a tiger. The bat tried to hold on to Pinky. He hooked his thumb tighter and tighter onto the back of Pinky's neck. He could not hold him. Pinky fell right into the family's garden and rolled under the red and white striped parcel. I gotta try and unlock this, but after Pinky had smothered his fur and found his purr again, he ran as fast as he could to the house. The back door was open. He walked straight through the garden and into the dining room, where the family was having supper. Pinky blinked his green eyes at the light. Pinky looks as if he had been asleep somewhere, the father said, and he went on cutting the roast beef. Yes, he does, said the mother, and she went on pouring milk into the children's glasses. Pinky looks as if he wanted to tell us something, the little girl said. But Pinky could not speak the language of people, so he just rubbed himself gently against the legs of everyone in the family. He looked up at their faces and purred and purred. A Persian worm is as big as a snake, he purred. Persian butterflies are bigger than kites on a string. A Persian bird, oh, haven't you heard? A Persian bird is bigger than anything. A Persian lizard could easily eat a cat. 2 Persian umbrellas together make a Persian bat. A Persian bat has thumbs for carrying cats on his black hind feet. Oh, family, family, now I would like to eat. And the end. that was the conclusion of Pinky in Persia. That was a very interesting story. I've never read this book before, so it was something that we could read together. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.